DOJ's corrupt Bruce Orr and Fusion's Christopher Steele were major players in failed efforts to get Russian oligarch to implicate Trump. By Jim Hoff for the GatewayPundit.com. The New York Times released another leak from the deep state's corrupt Mueller team stating that the DOJ's Bruce Orr and Fusion's Christopher Steele were major players in efforts to get Russian oligarch Oleg V. Deripaska to implicate then-candidate Trump with Russia. Maybe because Deripaska is connected to the Kremlin and has faced credible accusations of extortion, bribery, and even, you know what. The DOJ reportedly thought he would be willing to validate their fake Russia dossier. The New York Times doesn't note that this has been reported previously, and Deripaska laughed them out of the room. In yet another leak to the press from the corrupt Mueller gang, the New York Times reports, between 2014 and 2016, the FBI and the Justice Department unsuccessfully tried to turn Mr. Deripaska into an informant. They signaled that they might provide help with his trouble in getting visas for the United States or even explore other steps to address his legal problems. In exchange, they were hoping for information on Russian organized crime and later on possible Russian aid to President Trump's 2016 campaign, according to current and former officials and associates of Mr. Deripaska. In one dramatic encounter, FBI agents appeared unannounced and uninvited at a home Mr. Deripaska maintains in New York and pressed him on whether Paul Manafort, a former business partner of his who went on to become chairman of Mr. Trump's campaign, had served as a link between the campaign and the Kremlin. The attempt to flip Mr. Deripaska was part of a broader clandestine American effort to gauge the possibility of gaining cooperation from roughly a half dozen of Russia's richest men, nearly all of whom, like Deripaska, depend on President Vladimir V. Putin to maintain their wealth, the official said. Two of the players in the effort were Bruce Orr, the Justice Department official who has recently become a target of attacks by Mr. Trump, and Christopher Steele, the former British spy who compiled a dossier of purported links between the Trump campaign and Russia. The systematic effort to win the cooperation of the oligarchs, which has not previously been revealed, does not appear to have scored any successes. And in Mr. Deripaska's case, he told the American investigators that he disagreed with their theories about Russian organized crime and Kremlin collusion in the campaign. A person familiar with the exchanges said. The person added that Mr. Deripaska even notified the Kremlin about the American efforts to cultivate him. The corrupt Mueller team is apparently trying to ward off the news that Orr and Steele were the deep state operatives who were trying to get Deripaska to join in their Trump-Russia scam. Over the past few weeks, it was uncovered that the DOJ's Orr, the number 4 in Obama's DOJ, partook in communications with Christopher Steele after Steele's relationship with the FBI was terminated after Steele leaked information to the press. Orr's wife, Nellie, worked for Fusion GPS, who paid Steele for his work on a dossier that some believe was made up by Nellie Orr. To date, nothing material in the phony dossier alleging Donald Trump's ties with Russia have been corroborated, and much has been debunked. Yet this phony document was used to initiate the Mueller witch hunt and to spy on candidate and then President Trump. The New York Times article, in an attempt by Deep State Mueller and his gang to make excuses for their crimes, the official spoke on the condition, there we go, of anonymity to discuss an initiative that remains classified. Again, anonymous and classified. Listen to this. To cultivate Mr. Deripaska, let's start from the beginning. The official spoke on the condition of anonymity to discuss an initiative that remains classified. Most expressed deep discomfort, saying they feared that in revealing the attempts to cultivate Mr. Deripaska and other oligarchs, they were undermining American national security and strengthening the grip that Mr. Putin holds over those who surround him. But they also said they did not want Mr. Trump and his allies to use the program's secrecy as a screen with which they could cherry-pick facts and present them, sheared of context, to undermine the special counsel's investigation. That, too, they said, they feared would damage American security. What liars! Although the New York Times article does surprisingly mention that the Obama administration was worried that their actions would be seen as tipping the elections towards Hillary Clinton, they also note that the dossier was paid for by the Clinton campaign. Of course, the fake news New York Times thinks that when the deep state FBI, DOJ, and spy agencies created a fake dossier and used it to implement the greatest scam in U.S. history, that is perfectly okay. The Times also omits the many crimes related to lying to the FISA court to obtain spy warrants, as well as the crimes the DNC and Clinton campaign partook when paying foreign entities for information before the campaign. Finally, what's disgusting, dishonest, and most likely criminal is manner in which the deep state Mueller gang continues to lie and leak stories and fables to their favorite MSM fake news agencies, who always oblige their requests and promote their fake stories. The press conferences never happen with these gangsters, and the Times should be ashamed of being one of their pawns. The many crimes of the Mueller team and deep state are unraveling, and they can't create false stories to stop the truth from coming out. You see, because Bruce spilled a lot of the beans, they're now going full force, saying that Trump had a back channel to these Deripaska through Putin. Like, in other words, Trump they're trying to make Trump look guilty. Do you see what I'm saying? But Deripaska laughed them out of the room when they asked him, and he laughed them out of the room. But now Mueller is leaking to the New York Times again, phony story about Trump. But they fail to mention all the truths. Now, and Zero Hedge has an article similar to the New York Times article out, which, again, I'm saying, look at them. They are fighting back, and they're fighting back now real dirty because of Orr's testimony ousting them. You see? Now they're making up stories. They're leaking again to the New York Times, and Zero Hedge even has this article out. I mean, this is like unbelievable what Mueller is trying to do now. They're desperate. They're really, really desperate. They're now going to make up more stories. I mean, I say Trump, I think Trump is going to declassify a lot of crap now because it's starting to heat up, and it's starting to heat up really bad at this point. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And again, thank you so much for watching.